start the engine, keep 2500, 3500, press OK button. Testing, right. And then it says rev engine 3500. This is the BM520. It's going to do things like your battery test, your charging test, your startup test, and your load test. And look, we're sitting in the green there. I like that a lot. That's really good. So if you want to know if your car is charging correctly, looking for that little green box to say OK. You've got your minimum cold cranking volts. Waveforms. Well, that's nice, isn't it? Give you a little graph. You can actually map those graphs and it shows as normal. The little green dot there. So CCA, which is your cold cranking amps, that's good, 761. The voltage is 14.34 volt. The results are showing as good. Hey, you liking the t-shirt? My older subscribers will know exactly what that's about. Don't worry if you don't understand it. Maybe pop your name down in the comments and we'll soon find out your age by the fact that you don't know. Right, anyway, enough about all that. Very recently, I did a little video on the battery conditioning monitoring system for my lovely Mercedes SL. The battery conditioning monitoring system is a little component and it makes sure that it understands what's going on with the voltage at the front, the rear battery all behaving itself, the distribution of it. The front battery in my Mercedes SL, just to let you know, predominantly starts the car and does the braking system. The rear battery does all the heavy electronics. Anyway, regardless of that, are those two batteries still good? Are they working correctly? Now, you can check to make sure that things are charging via the alternator, ensuring that you've got like 13.5 volts and upwards when the engine's on. You can do that just by using, a multimeter. You just basically plug it in, put some load on the car, like turning on the headlights or the rear heater, and you should see that the volts will just drop down very, very briefly, but then go back up again. That tells you that your alternator is doing its thing, giving out sort of around about 14 volts, but also that your voltage regulator is also behaving itself and giving you that voltage regulated amount that your car will need. What that doesn't do though, is it doesn't tell me things like, is the actual cold cranking amps of the battery good? The startup tests with those cold cranking amps. So a company just reached out to me from that video and they've given me a little product to review. And this will be perfect because I really do want to know, are my batteries good? This is the BM520. And what this actually does is batteries from the range of 6 volts up to 24 volts. It's going to do things like your battery test, your charging test, your startup test and your load test more than a regular voltmeter will do or multimeter will do. Usually you have to go to a garage and they'll maybe charge you just to make sure if your battery is good or not, whereas you can buy this, and there's a link below, for only a few pounds. So let's get it on the car and let's just see what this is all about. Do a little box opening, why not? Comes in a lovely little case. Well, straight away, looking at this, look at the clips here, they look really decent quality. Just to let you know, this is a 2.8 inch TFT color screen. Nice and simple layout. As I said before, it does between 6 volts to 24 volts testing. And it does things like low frequency constant currents test. So it doesn't actually damage your battery, only checks it. It does waveform monitoring, real-time monitoring of the battery conditions as well. And it supports a variety of different battery types, the gel batteries or the flooded battery types. So it's also got an inbuilt multimeter, which is exactly what this is going to be, but this comes with it for testing cars, which is nice. Let's go and see what it's like on the car. Let's start off with the starter battery. That's been on there since 2023 March, and the reason I know that is because I write on it. I always do that. There we go, March 23. And I just do that because I like to know how long I've put the battery in the car. So it's been in there for just over 1.5 years. So let's take off the old battery positive cover and let's plug in a battery tester and see what it's all about. So the company is KINGBOLEN and it's the BM520. Nice high quality clips those, because you don't want them coming off during a test. Oh, look, clip's okay. Actually comes to life, brilliant. So this is a Mercedes SL. There's two batteries. There's one for starting the engine and doing the brakes, and there's a bigger, heavier one in the back for doing all the electrical auxiliaries. But let's test this first of all. So this battery is only 1.5 years old. I haven't looked at the manual for this battery tester. I'm just gonna press buttons and see. Right, so straight away, when you plug it in, it turns on the unit. There you go, battery analyzer, all good. And actually tells you that you've plugged the clips in correctly, which is great. Lovely, so it's nice and easy. You just have these 4 keys here. And we've got 6 items at the top there. Look at that, brand new, hadn't even taken the film off it. So let's go into battery trek first of all. All right, okay, so you choose the battery type you got. So whether it's 6 volt, 12 volt, 24 volt. Obviously I've got a 12 volts. Let's go into that. In fact, do you know what I'm going to do first? I'm going to go back out of that. Let's see if we can turn off this beep. Oh, I see. So you press the arrow, you just work your way along. Right, let's go into settings. And, oh, there we go, beep, we can take that off. So let's go there. There, that's a little bit better. Off, good. Self-test, let's go into that whilst we're there. Okay, display test, keyboard test, beep test, don't really need that. I'm more interested in the battery test. So, back up the top. There we go, let's go into check. Now let's choose the battery, 12 volts. We've got a quick test, in vehicle or out of vehicle. Ah, right, okay. So I take it that means that if the battery is off the vehicle, it's going to behave slightly differently. So let's just do the quick test first, and then I'm going to go to in vehicle. So let's press quick test. Please confirm that the engine is turned off. Yes, otherwise the test results will be affected. Please enter the amp hours. Oh, that's good. Right, so let's have a look here then. Okay, we can see there's 12 volts and it's 35 amp hours. So it goes all the way up to 220 amp hours. That must be for a big truck or something. So let's work our way down and go back down to 35 amp hours. There we are, 35. Press OK on that. Oh, what's this saying? Okay, so we got a little scale there. It says it's normal. We've got 4.75 mega ohms. We got 541 amps, which is excellent. And we got 12.19 volts. And we got STD 280 amps. Wonder what that means. Okay, so there's nothing else you can do on that. So let's go back. And this time I'm going to, oh look, that's good. So it actually, if I go to quick test, let's press again, it holds, it goes to the 30, goes to the last setting you put in there, which is 35 amp hours. So that's good. Right, this time I'm going to do in vehicle because the battery's connected. So let's see what happens there. And here, look, we've got battery test, charging test, startup test, and load test. Well, let's start from the top, battery test. Please confirm that the engine is off. Yes. Ah, right, so now you're looking at what type of battery. Well, this one here is a regular flooded battery. So you got AGM flat plate, AGM spiral, gel, and EFB. So it's a regular flooded. And then the battery type, ooh, it's a CCA. So what have I got there? Oh, it's SAE, because if you have a look, you'll see that it says SAE there. So let's choose that. God, it's quite a lot of different types of battery types there. Right, so SAE, press, oh, it's SAEGB it says. Well, let's just choose that one. Now, here we go. So SAE, it's 480 amps. So let's put in 480. There, 480 SAE. And let's press OK. And it says it's 100% and it's normal. So, got my voltage, got my milliohms, it all looks okay. Good, let's go to the next test. Back out, charging test. Right, so I think this is going to tell me now to start the engine. Right, here we go. Start the engine. Keep 2,500 to 3,500 RPM. Press OK button. So this is interesting because obviously these leads here, they're not particularly long. And I was tempted to put my jump leads on and then sit in the car so I can rev the engine. But what I didn't know is, would there be an issue in using longer leads, because you're going to get a slight voltage drop if you've got a larger cable. Otherwise, I've got to get in the car and somehow rev it, but it's not going to reach unless I shine it through onto the window and maybe do it that way. So anyway, start the engine, keep 2,500, 3,500, press OK button. Testing. Right, so I'm going to do that now. Right, get in the car. Okay. And then it says rev it to 2,500, 3,500. All right, well, let's go and see what happened on the screen. All right, so it's telling me loaded is 11.98 volts, unloaded is 12.17 volts, the ripple was 20 millivolts, results no output. Turn off the engine. Okay, so engine is off. Right, now start the engine. Right, okay, start the engine. There we are. Oh, so that's interesting. So what it's saying is, it took, what does that say? 2333 milliseconds. So it's got to be what? 2.3 seconds, right? Starting ability normal, and the voltage is 10.18. So does that mean it dropped down to 10.18? I can only assume it does. Let's go back. Let's go for load test now. Full load, so keep 2,000 to 2,500 RPM and then press the OK button. So again, this is something that I'm going to have to try and do whilst I'm in the car. So let's have a look at the other settings there. Waveforms, let's have a look at that one. Well, that's nice, isn't it? Give you a little graph there, and I guess if you've got the engine going, you can actually map those graphs. All very nice. Let's go back. Let's have a look at playback. Waveform playback, clear records. Oh good, so it actually remembers from the previous, which is nice. Waveform 2, press OK for replay. That's nice. So obviously I haven't recorded anything, but nevertheless I can play it back. Okay. Let's go to the next one, records. Well, that's surely just going to be of the cars that I've tested. This is the last record, so this is the only one I've done. And then it's giving me a nice little rundown there of everything. That's quite nice. So CCA, which is your cold cranking amps, that's good, 761. Standard 480 amps. The voltage is 14.34 volts. That's obviously charging. It's giving me 100% for SOH. Not sure what that acronym is, but the results are showing as good. That's really good. So if I go back one, last record. So I would say, to find the information, I would like to have seen, after I've done the test, it come up on the screen. But if you want to know if the battery's good, for me, that's the way to go into it, is the records there. So yeah, that's good to know, but it could be a little bit more obvious. At least my battery's good, which I'd expect it to be because it's just over a year old. Right, setup, well, we know what that one is because that was just where the beeps were. Don't need to worry about, oh, we've got theme there. What's that? Theme 1, let's go to theme 2. Oh, black. Oh, I think that was a lot better. You can see it clearly. I'm going to keep on that theme. Right, let's go back. And you've got language there as well. Right, Let's go into multimeter, which is just going to be exactly the same as plugging in my Fluke multimeter. It's a 12 volt. Let's go into that. Oh, that's nice. Look at that little graph there. So what does this tell me? So it says charging system. So on that bar there, it's charging system. I think anywhere within that OK is good, and I'm above it, which is great. So let's start the engine and see if that does anything now. Oh, it's live. And look, we're sitting in the green there. We're sitting in the green OK. I like that a lot. That's really good. So if you want to know if your car is charging correctly, if the battery is all good, you're looking for that little green box to say OK, which she is. I'm all happy with that. That's great. It also shows you on the bottom the starter test there. You've got your low volts, you've got your minimum cold cranking volts, and obviously if this line is sitting down here in the yellow or the red, then you've got a weak or a bad battery. Very nice. Great. And that's all the menus that there are. So I thought I'd try my little Fiat just to see how the battery is on this. I've just been driving it today, so it should all be charged and good. But nevertheless, let's have a little test and see. Okay, good. It's just started to rain as well. Amazing the difference in this little car here compared to my Mercedes. Don't get me wrong, I do love my Mercedes, but I also love little hatchbacks like this. There's my battery. She's tiny, but what I'm hoping is I can actually try and connect it and be able to maybe get around here and put my foot on the throttle to try and test that other mode. So let's see. So I don't know if it's going to be long enough, but I might just be able to press OK and reach over. Right, let's plug that in. Right. Oh, I'm getting wet now. Right, okay. Now, maybe I can press OK. Well, the battery test has come to life, which is good. All right, so let's have a little check here. It's a 12 volts, and we can do a quick test. Why not? Please confirm that the engine is off. Yes. Okay, so looking at the battery here, it is 40 amp hours. Let's press OK, and it shows as normal. The little green dot there, which for me on the Mercedes was right the way at the top. But it's telling me that it's 274 amps, it's 12.31 volts, which is good because I've just been driving it. And we've got 9.37 milliohms. Standard is 320 amps. Okay, right, let's see if I can reach in, start the engine, and do the other test, which I couldn't do on the Mercedes. Let's go back. Oh, there's one that in vehicle. Let's go into in vehicle. Right, battery test, this is the one. So let's do the battery test on the vehicle and just see if there's any difference. It is a regular flooded. I'm going to choose the same SAE. I'm not entirely sure. I probably have to go and research what that battery is. So 480 SAE was my Mercedes. I'm going to put down 340 amps because that's a smaller battery for my little Fiat. So 340 there, and it shows us all good. So 12.31 amps, so 12.31 volts at 354 amps. Good. Right, now let's see if we can do the starting one where we got to charge it. Back out, charging test. Let's do that one. So if I go back out of that, it should tell me to start the engine. He says, testing. Right, start the engine, keep 2,500 to 3,500 RPM, press OK button. Right, well, I'm going to try and reach in and do that. Hopefully I can. Right. Press OK. Now it says it's testing. What's it say? Results, no output. It's quite tricky to do that. Right, this time I'm going to start the engine, get it to the revs, and then I'm going to press OK. Okay, well, I don't know what happened there. So looking at the results here, it says that there's no output, but it says that the loaded was 12.43 volts, unloaded was 13.83 volts, and the ripple was 50 millivolts. Results, no output. So, test complete. What do I think? Well, certainly it's a lovely, neat, lightweight bit of kit. I then did have a quick look at the instructions, and this just goes to show that sometimes reading the instructions does help, because it actually says, and I get it now, at first I didn't, but it talks about when you're doing the load test, after entering the load test, the instrument will prompt the following interface, and it tells you full load, keep 2000 to 2500 RPM, press the OK button. But the next step then says, after operation is prompted in step 3, press OK to get the test results as shown in the figure below. And that's where it says load capacity, which I didn't have on my screen because it said none. And then it will tell you if it's good or bad. So there you go. Sometimes reading the instructions really does help. So I'm not going to dismiss it. I think it was just the fact that I didn't actually follow the instructions fully, which is why I didn't get a result. But when I went into the final results page, it did actually tell me that my battery was good. So one of the nice little touches I found on this is I love the way that you got the option to change the screen. You can have a dark image, especially if you're outside. You can get more of a contrast and actually see what's going on if it's really bright. But also the fact that it obviously just powers straight off the battery, and why not? All the power's there that you need. You don't need to charge this up. Now, it does come with a little USB cable, but that's purely for doing the updates on the firmware, etc. You plug it in USB into a laptop or your Mac, etc. But the other nice thing was, even though this hasn't got power, it's still, I think there must be like an EEPROM chip on there, because it still remembered the settings that I had when I switched between the Mercedes and went to the Fiat. It said the last results and it showed those details for the Mercedes, and that's a really nice touch. So, you know, in summary, it's a great little bit of kit. For what this costs, you can buy yourself a multimeter, sure, but you've got to remember that your multimeter is only going to be able to check whether the car is charging, whether the car's alternator is actually giving out the right amount of power, volts and current. But why would you want to have a cheap voltmeter when you can have a dedicated proper battery tester, the BM520 by KINGBOLEN, which does all of the aspects of understanding if you've got a decent battery, your charging voltage, your load voltage, your cold cranking amps, etc. It's all there. This is what it's a designer supposed to do. And if you read the instructions, it does actually help you and tell you if your battery is behaving as it should do, and it does an awful lot more than it would do if you were to go and buy just a multimeter. So look, I hope you found that helpful. If there's something specific that you want me to go over again, let me know down below and I'll do a video just for you on this little BM520 by KINGBOLEN. Not bad, nice little product. Thanks for watching, see you on the next one.